Welcome back. In order to obtain a better understanding of the difference between godly attitudes as opposed to worldly attitudes with respect to money and material things, I've listed 12 comparisons below. I'd encourage you to prayerfully review these 12 slides and ask God to reveal to you any worldly attitudes that you have. Do as David did in Psalms 139, 23, 24, where David said, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." So here's the first one. The worldly attitude is trusting in money and material things, while the godly attitude is to trust solely in God at all times and in every circumstance. And of course, that well-known verse, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths." God wants us to trust Him. And of course, the problem with trusting in money and material things, that was the problem that the rich fool had in Luke chapter 12. Number 2, the worldly attitude is believing that money and material things will bring happiness and peace of mind, while the godly attitude is believing that happiness and peace of mind can be obtained only through a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Remember in John 14:27, Jesus said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid." It's only through a close personal relationship with Jesus Christ that you can really experience God's peace that transcends all understanding, Philippians 4:6. Money and material things will not give you the peace of God that transcends all understanding. It just won't provide it. And that was one of the warnings in Matthew 13:22, where Jesus, in the parable of the sower, indicated that the one who received the seed that fell among the thorns is the man who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke it, making it unfruitful. People can be deceived in believing that money and material things is the answer to all or almost all of their problems, when in reality it's not. The next third point is the worldly attitude is having a strong desire to get rich, while the godly attitude is being content with God's provision. 1 Timothy 6:6-8 is some key scriptures, and I'm going to go through them. "But godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into the world and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that." Notice Paul was content with God just meeting his needs, and we should be content with God meeting our needs. Because often when people get into debt, when they spend more than they make and accumulate debt, they're doing it so often buying things that they really don't need. They may get, for example, a brand new car and take on a big loan, when in reality, perhaps a good used car would do the job. And under having a strong desire to get rich, Proverbs 23:4-5 does warn us, "Do not wear yourself out to get rich, have wisdom to show restraint." And why? The answer is given there. "Cast but a glance at riches and they are gone, for they will surely sprout wings and fly off into the sky like an eagle." A split second after you die, you'll realize that money and material things were very temporary. The fourth one is the worldly attitude is serving money, while the godly attitude is serving God. And of course, we're here, like Joshua said, we will serve the Lord and obey Him. We're here to serve God as Christians. And of course, we talked about the warning earlier that Jesus gave in Matthew 6:24, that no one can serve two masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Number 5, the worldly attitude is being prideful. And of course, God opposes the proud and gives grace to the humble. Well, the godly attitude is having humility. And James 4:10 says, "Humble yourselves before the Lord, and He will lift you up." Sometimes people can have an issue with pride, especially when they accumulate a significant amount of material assets, or if they have a significant amount of income. And that's not God's will. Remember, it's God that provides the resources. He even provides you with your talents. The worldly attitude is believing that you're independent of God. Deuteronomy 8 says, and this is for those people that make a high income, taking note of this, says, Deuteronomy 8:17 and 18 says, "You may say to yourself, my power and the strength of my hands have produced this wealth for me. But remember the Lord your God, for it is God who gives you the ability to produce wealth. It is God who gives us our natural abilities. And if you've been given a natural ability to make a lot of income, and if God wants you to do that, then go ahead. Just make sure that you do it in a godly fashion, and that you maintain godly attitudes towards money and material things, and that you serve God and not money. And of course, if you have a high income, you should consider giving very generously to God's work, well beyond the tithe. And the godly attitude is acknowledging that you're dependent upon God. Jesus said, I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. We are dependent upon the Lord. That's the first 6. I'm going to stop halfway through these comparisons and just encourage you to review them, pray about them, and ask God to speak to your heart and your mind. And then click on the next video and we'll continue.